It's only because I love them so much. That I wouldn't let somebody lie about them. I don't think they realised, I got this protective schema. I didn't really understand. I just thought I was a man of principles. I'll stand and, defend my children with my life. I ain't going to take a step back, so they need to. And I don't know where it ends. Because they're lying and I'm not. And I ain't afraid to die.
The Central Club.
What's going on, people? Welcome to the Central Club. This episode is brought to you by Re-Inspire Printing and the Lacana Coffee Shop. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the club, and hit the bell button to be notified of future content. Today, I am with Kevin Thomas. Kevin Thomas contacted us after our Central Club phone-in show. If you remember, during that phone-in show, we had two, not just one, but two different cases of people phoning about child services and the possibility of corruption within child services. Kevin's been on my case for the last couple of weeks because he really wants to get his story across. And today that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to say too much more. We're going to let him do the talking. So I welcome Kevin. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it more, I assure you. Thanks for the opportunity. I never thought I'd have this opportunity.
Yeah, well, that's what we try and do. When we can, we will give people an opportunity. I said as well, if you want, we could do a phone-in show. And he was like, no, I want more than 15 minutes. So, yeah.
Like 15 minutes would be enough, actually. So I appreciate the time, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's dive straight in. Yep. Because, we are always constricted by time. What is the purpose of your being here?
Well, it kind of all started for me. I've never been in trouble with the police, never had any record or anything. Always tried to do the best in my life. And, I've kind of hit a stumbling block here with some incidents regarding my children around the police and children's services. And, well, they are definitely lying about these situations. I've tried to show them their own documents to prove the way that these things did happen in the chronology and the things. But I think because of the level of mistakes that were made leading to an assault on my 8-week-old baby, I think that maybe they're deciding that the truth is unpalatable to them. And they've decided to bury it all, either to protect themselves, their jobs or reputation. I don't know, but I'll let everybody make their mind up, obviously, from the content, yeah.
And as you speak to me now, are you still going through some sort of case, or is this like, I've tried every avenue, it's not showing up anywhere, so this is like last resort?
I've tried absolutely everything. I've even paid £20,000 to take Children's Services and South Wales Police to court. When I've actually got to the court, the judges then said to me that he's not going to look at it because it's already been through the family court. While the family court, Judge Barcello, was the judge that told me that he couldn't look at it within the family court. And he said I was doing the right thing by taking it to Cardiff Court to try and get the facts out because it wasn't part of the remit, as he put it, for his court. So I thought, okay, we're going to go to the Cardiff Court, get the facts out so I can go back to the family court with the facts established. But as I said, when I've got to the family court, it wasn't even looked at for 5 minutes. The judge said, I trust the judge in the family court case to have done it properly. I'm not even going to look at it, so I might as well have just set £520,000. I spent other money as well on this, but we get into it.
Yeah, it's a bit strange that you spent $20,000 for them to say that. They could have just said that.
Yeah, but I had to wait till I get to court and for the judge to actually say it's struck out is the term he gave. So it was struck out within less than 10 minutes of actually being in court. And the reason he gave was because it had already been through the family court, as I said. He wasn't going to look at it because he trusted the family court's judge's decision. I don't think the judges really know how each system works, because if the assaults and the mistakes by the police and children's services weren't able to be looked at within my family court case, because they weren't part of the remit, it leaves a parent or family nowhere to go then to get the facts established, because the judges and the higher courts are thinking these things are sorted out within the family court case, which is not the case.
Do you think, who gave you this advice? The solicitor, was it?
Solicitor.
Do you think that they...
No, sorry. Also, when I went to the MP, Chris Bryant, when I've also found out about a confession which was being withheld, Chris Bryant told me that I need to take this to court. So I was also advised by the MP for the Rhondda that Chris...
And who did you give £20,000 to?
Two separate solicitors. The first time, just after the first court, the family court case, I seen a solicitor called... what was his name? Lancaster solicitor, sorry. It was based in Pontypridd. I give this gentleman probably about £7,000 altogether. At that time, my health was kind of struggling, still is in some ways. I was struggling to pay him, so I left a gap of not paying him for 6 months, and then obviously when I've gone back to him, he said he had too many cases, so I then had to go with another solicitor, which is a gentleman in Manchester called Milton Furman.
Whoa, so he took that £7,000, did he? Or?
Yeah. Took my £7,000 and said, look, you'll have to wait, I've got too many cases and whatever. And I was like, I did leave it about 6 months ago because I'd run out of money by this point. So by the time I'd gone back to him, so then I've looked on the internet, I found a company called the Legal Company, which is a solicitor. It sounds... Yeah, it gets worse. He's actually struck off as a solicitor in 2002. I didn't realise, I found out later. Yeah. So I've paid him this money, then found out he'd been struck off. Still don't know why he'd been struck off. But I got to say, he did prepare my case the way I wanted him to. Went to Cardiff Court exactly the way I wanted to. It did take a year and a half to get there. But when we got there, as I said, the judge then said he wasn't going to look at it. So I've spent a lot of money on this solicitor.
My question was, do you think that solicitor... Listen, solicitors know how things work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have told them that it's already gone through the other courts. Do you think those solicitors knew as well, deep down, that the judge was not going to look at it, or...?
No, he said to me that he even said the words to me, I'll get you out of this. That's what he said to me. And I then was throwing money at him, money I didn't have. I borrowed money. My mother passed away about a year before all this stuff.
Who said that, the solicitor?
Yeah.
Yeah, but how do you know he could have been lying? Like,
There's vultures everywhere within the system. You come there with a problem. They say, they see the money. They think we're going to sort this out. They say we're going to sort this out for you. They want the money at the end of the day, which probably is what happened there, yeah.
It's very sad. Before we dive in, I think that's a valuable lesson for anyone else who's probably trying to go through that system. I don't know if there's something else you probably do different, maybe you'd advise anyone, or is it just a sorry still?
Money, obviously, if it's been looked at, or if it's gone through the family court case, then you might not have anywhere else to take it. I didn't know this. I don't know if that is the rules or that's the way it's supposed to work, or if it was that individual judge that decided that because it'd been through the family court case that he wasn't going to look at it. I don't know, but it wasn't looked at. I don't know why. I thought 100% it would be. I went in there so confident. I thought these facts are going to be established here in this court case. These things have happened to my children, myself. I got proof and documents. I thought then I could go back to the family court case and show the facts. I did try and sue them for money, but I even said, look, it's not for the money. I don't want any money. I just want the facts established. If you can give me the money back I spent on the court case, that's fine. The other £50,000 should have been the compensation. I said I would give it to charity. I didn't, I wasn't interested in money, just the facts that protect my children, because the truth is the only thing you can protect, If you're doing a plan, like a protection plan based on initial lies and mistakes, then it's leaving children open. So I wanted to establish them facts to have a proper plan moving forward where certain people will be considered risks to my children based on what they've done.
Do you remember the judge who done that the second time?
Yeah, it was a Judge Davis. I don't remember his first name. Judge Davis.
In Cardiff.
Cardiff Court, yes, Cardiff.
Marriage, Crown? Family, was it?
No, it wasn't a family. It was actually Cardiff Court. It must have been a magistrate's court, yeah. And
by the prison?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Shame. So where are you from?
I'm from Llwynapia, which is just by Tolapandi in the Rhondda.
Rhondda Valleys, yeah? And that's where you...
all my life.
Yeah. Okay. So how many kids you got?
I have 2 children.
And how old are you, and then how old are they?
What's going on, people? I want to introduce you to Cardiff's best kept secret. This is what we call a head shop, or some may call it a coffee shop. It's basically a candy shop for those laid-back chillaxers who are looking for a natural herbal remedy to offset their stresses from modern life. They got gummies and cookies, exclusive papers and packs, dried herbs and extracts. They got it all. And the coffee is delicious. That's a pound, babs. So head on down now to the Canna on Woodville Road, Cardiff for your CBD, your coffee and your good vibes. No, I don't smoke.
And my boy, I never thought I could have children because me and my ex had been together for 15 years and we tried to have children, couldn't have it. But my boy did come along then in my late 30s. I never thought I could have a child. He's now 9 years old. My daughter's 4 years old. I had care of my son from birth because my ex-partner was struggling up until he was 7 years old when he was removed from my care. My daughter, because of incident that happened around her that they wouldn't admit to, she was actually injured. And because they said my attitude, and I did shout at a few on the phone and, call them some names, which we will get to, because of that reason, they decided that I was a risk of emotional harm because I was arguing with them about an assault on my baby and a head injury.
Who were them?
Children's Services members. The service manager is Julie Evans. The manager was Rhiannon Davis, and the social worker was Carwyn Morgan.
How were they involved? How did this all come about? Maybe you want to start from...
maybe I should just start now.
Yeah, go on, you go.
Well, my ex and me were together for 15 years. Our relationship was kind of up and down. My son came along. I actually had to have a DNA test with my son because my ex-partner, I found out, was having a relationship with a convicted sex offender who'd abused 2 7-year-old girls. His name was Shane Spencer. She turned up, she had fag burns on her. She told me then that she was with this guy. I didn't know she'd been unfaithful before that, but I decided then you're unfaithful, really in the middle of that then. She said she was pregnant. I thought it can't be mine. We'd been together for a long time. It turned out then I had a DNA test. Yeah, obviously he was my beautiful boy. Yeah, so she was having mental problems, so she left my boy with me for 7 years, She used to come back, once a week or once a month, I'd hardly see her, and so I had to have a DNA test. I was kind of letting her in the house, Then we fast forward about another couple of years after that then. So I had the same kind of relationship, but she was just turning up once a week or whatever. I noticed then that things were going missing from the house, like a sound bar for the telly, which is like a speaker. There was a steamer for steaming vegetables. There was a PlayStation that I'd bought my son. All went missing. So I called the police. Basically, the police got involved. They said the stuff's in Cash Generator. They brought the stuff back from Cash Generator.
And your kids are with you at this time, yeah?
Just my son is born at this point. My daughter's born later, yeah. So they bring the stuff back. They go on about my ex. I don't want to go into much about my ex, she's mentally unwell. They were saying, look, we advise you not to prosecute her because of her mental health. I said, look, I don't really want to prosecute her because of her mental health. But, she did steal this stuff. Can you just stop her coming to my home, stealing my stuff? Because, I'm struggling financially anyway. And, yeah, so that happened. Kept stealing more stuff from the house as well, after that as well. So I stopped letting her in the house because I just, it was costing a lot of money. All the stuff got money going missing and everything. Items going missing, even clothes and things and trainers going missing. Then one time I was coming back with my son. We were out somewhere. It was a lovely day. I seen her coming down the street. As I seen her, I obviously didn't want her in the house, so I've gone to shut the door and she's come running and she's pushing the door. So I've put the chain on the door.
Yeah.
She's then forced the door open, come into the house. I try to calm the situation down. But anyway, the next day I've got this recording and I've gone to the police station. I'm in a police station with a police officer called P.C. Lewis Kincaid. I'm playing him the video, and he says that, she's coming into your home later. And she also, when I'm filming her, tries to slap the phone out of my hand, slaps my hand. He says it's an assault. So I just leave it with him then. Sorry. So I think then they sorted her out to the assault or whatever. When I'm with this police officer, my ex-partner then phones up on my phone with her number, in front of the police officer. And the police officer's like, put her on loudspeaker so you can hear what she's saying. And she's outlining that she's met this guy on Plenty of Fish. His name is Lee Gibson. She says that she's been with him now a while, and he's dragging her around the floor with my newborn daughter in her arms. Yeah, in front of the police officer. Another one on the same call was another time where they were fighting around the Moses basket, knocked the Moses basket against the wall. So this police officer is writing all this down in front of me. She also says she's afraid of this Gibson fella, and I thought that the police were going to step in there and maybe do something. I left there thinking, okay, there's a PPN now saying that my ex-partner saying this guy that she's met is dangerous to the baby. I've also recorded her saying that he was blackmailing her with indecent images he had of her to do what he wanted, and I have this recorded as well. So I play this to social workers and the police. Then she sends me messages, which I have a log here, where it says, Kevin showed social workers text message conversation between himself and his ex-partner, where his ex-partner is saying that this Lee Gibson is a paedophile and an alcoholic. So there's 2 assaults outlined, plus he's a paedophile, plus he's saying he's blackmailing her. So I'm showing him all this now, and I'm thinking this guy's a risk. I'm then expecting them to keep him away from my daughter.
You've got a boy.
Yeah.
Then you end up having another baby.
Yeah, another shouldn't have happened. It was a mistake, but
But then she keeps the baby in her custody. You've got the boy still. Yeah. You don't live with each other though.
No, I actually have a DNA. She allows me to have a DNA test as well, and I have a DNA test which says she's my daughter, done through a legitimate company called LexTox. I take that to Children's Services, and I thought they were acknowledging because they had a DNA from when I had my son's DNA test, so they had a copy of my DNA, so they could see that this was definitely my DNA, and they can also tell from that the other DNA next to it is a girl who's a daughter of mine, a female. So that's mad. 2 and 2 together should have said, "Oh, look, this is Mr. Thomas's daughter."
Yeah.
But the person I was dealing with, the social worker, didn't understand the difference between an X and a Y chromosome. Right, so I was kind of banging my head against a brick wall there. They didn't even understand, trying to explain the document and what the test said.
If it didn't say boy or girl, I'm going to,
Yeah, and I went through a couple of social workers now, and I think that'd be part of their job, really, that, DNA tests, you think you'd understand it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, I thought, okay, I've established that this is my little girl. I've established this guy's a risk. She's going to be safe. Then I find out that they use him as a babysitter, which is only 4 days after I've shown them messages of my ex-partner saying he's a paedophile. Yeah. And a week goes on. I got a letter from his own mother calling him alcoholic as well. She was given to me by my ex. He's admitted, that he's got a drink from him. I thought my daughter's protected. So they use him then as a babysitter 4 days after Children's Services.
Oh, right.
Children's Services use him as a responsible adult, as they term it in their chronology. So he's then used as a babysitter. He then gets drunk because my ex-partner said he was drinking a bottle of vodka a night. Yeah. He's then, in his own words, which I have in the document here, gone to strike Miss Robinson, who's my ex-partner, and caught my newborn baby, who's 8 weeks old at this time, in the head, leaving a bruise above the eye. She tells me it on the phone, so I go to see the bruise because she tells a lot of stories I didn't really believe. So I went to see the bruise. Yeah, definitely bruise above the eye there. So then I go back, I record her, and I have the recording still where she says, "Yeah, he's gone to hit me. He's caught the baby in the head." So I take this recording to Children's Services offices. 2 hours later, they remove my baby from my ex-partner and place my baby in his care. Yeah. For 2 weeks. Yeah.
What?
I don't know. They want to explain it to me. I don't know why, right? They're saying that he's not a risk, right? I don't know. Maybe we can discuss at the end why you think they might have done this or behaved this way, yeah? But they placed my baby, as it says in the documents, they placed my baby in his care, in his home, with his mother supervising. Yeah? So my baby's in there for 2 weeks now. My ex-partner, I have messages and everything from her saying, to Children's Services emails, saying, "You placed my baby in the home with, I'm accusing him of assaulting the baby, and you placed my baby with him." Your mother's...
Fucked up.
Yeah. Gets worse. Your mother also got messages from you asking Children's Services, "Why have you placed the baby in the home of this person who's assaulted the baby?"
Whose mother?
My ex-partner's mother. Yeah, her name's Cheryl. My sister and my father were also phoning up and saying, "Why is the baby in there? The DNAs have been done proving it this Kevin's baby, and now you've placed the baby with the wrong parent." He's also accused of all these assaults. He's accused, he's an alcoholic, he's accused of being a paedophile as well. I don't know, but she'd bothered with this paedophile in the past. She a convicted one. And her father was also a convicted paedophile, and so was her grandfather. And she kind of goes to sex offenders. I don't know what it is. I don't really understand it myself, where I don't know, something about the sex offender where she seems to gravitate towards them. And,
Well, you think she knows the sex offenders?
Yeah, 100%. The police even went to her on another log I have here and said, that this guy, the first guy that I have after the day-night house for my son, they said to her, he's a convicted sex offender who's abused 2 7-year-old children. And even though he'd been for the court and convicted, she said to the police officer, I don't believe he's done it. That's what she said. But she stayed with him for a bit. He's actually passed away now, I understand. He changed his name from Shane Spencer to Caden Quigley. And then I think he died of an overdose or something like that a few years ago. So he's not on the street.
He's from the Valleys, yeah?
He's from Cardiff, funny enough.
Yeah, you did.
She actually met him when he was still in prison. She was sending him letters. This is another thing. I also found other letters where she was sending letters to other guys. One guy called Macca and another guy I think was Damon. They were also convicted paedophiles, and that's like an halfway house where they let them.
Yeah, that's where they let people. That's where people.
Yeah, she was sending on letters.
Oh.
I don't know if she was sending. She must have met him for his father.
Did you know that she was like this when you go with her?
She told me she'd been abused by her father and her grandfather, which made me think, oh my God, I need to protect her. I've been diagnosed with a protector schema where I think I need to, I'm doing this for my kids, I'll die for my kids. I thought at the time, I got to protect her, Even when I was a kid, people used to bring me like birds with broken wings and say, oh, can you fix that? I thought, I have to fix it, I have to help. I've always been like, I thought I can fix it. One thing I've learned with age, you can't fix somebody, if somebody doesn't want help and, doesn't ask for help and not going to help them. So it's gone on. Where was I? They placed my baby.
All these sex offenders, also.
Yeah, it's loads of them. But I think she was sending letters to 3, and then she meets this other guy and tells me he's one as well. Plus, her father was still alive at this time, and he was a sex offender, and she'd taken the baby to him. And a police officer called Anna Williams actually seen her with my newborn son, and didn't say anything. And he was the PPA.
What is that like, innit? Like, obviously, she knew they were sex offenders.
I think when you've been abused when you're a child by the people you're supposed to trust most in the world, i.e. your father and your grandfather, I think it's somehow normalised in her mind. And this is why...
Of course it is, yeah.
She kind of gravitates.
How does she find them? How have she found them?
Right. I think, I'm just guessing this part, but her father was a convicted sex offender, a child sex offender. And he was in prison. I think that he's met some of these boys when he's in prison. And then when
Damon's a nice boy. Get with Damon.
Yeah, and maybe that. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
He's handsome.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Because he's done it, and they're all in it together. They don't see anything wrong.
As soon as you said she wrote to us, my ears pricked up straight away. It's a jail known for that.
Yeah, I didn't know this at the time, but obviously finding the letters and then finding out,
You got Prescoid, which is open jail up there.
Yeah.
But then Usk is with a lot of...
When he come out then, obviously she's met up with him. This is why I'm thinking I'd have DNA with my son then, just because...
Yeah, 100%.
We were up to the point where they removed my baby anyway from my ex-partner's care and placed it with this guy. I'd say all the families going nuts, sending letters, phoning. I'm going to Children's Services offices every day. I'm saying, look, my baby's there with this guy who's, caused injury to my baby. There's other things that he's done as well, I've even got photographs that my ex-partner sent me with bruises on her. Yeah. There's also as well a social worker came there when my ex-partner was there. There's a big bruise on her chest where apparently this guy just kept poking in her chest while he's shouting at her. Thick lip, marks on her neck where he's strangling her. Yeah. So they placed my baby in his house. I'm going crazy. This is the time I think I became ill because my baby's in his house for 2 weeks and I'm...
Do you think, I don't want to bring up, do you think he did anything?
What's that?
During those 2 weeks, do you think he...
I don't know. I was having mad dreams, right? I don't even want to get into it, really. I didn't even think my mind was,
Yeah.
Just thinking. And this is what made it worse as well. My father worked with Lee, the guy who was my baby's place, his father, in Fords for 40 years. So my father told me exactly where he lived. I went straight to his home. There was a terrace house on the corner. Look through these double glazing windows. I can see there's like a room with an arch in another room. He's there. My baby's in the cot and he's there by my baby. And I'm standing outside the door and I'm thinking, I'm going to kick this door down and get my baby. And I didn't because I would have lost everything. But I was actually standing there and my leg was going like, swinging. And I was like, no, you can't. And I phoned the police at that point then and said, look, my baby's been placed in here. They took a report, never heard anything from us, usual thing. I as I say, I kept going to the Children's Services office then every day. By the, I think, 12th or 13th day, I said to them, I'm not leaving your office until you get my baby out of there. You can get the police here. I needed to get the police. I want to make a log of this. I even said to them, if you don't remove my baby from the house, I'm going to block your entrance to your car park at the end of the working day so you all don't go home to your own families. That's what I said. I probably shouldn't have said that, but I did.
So you'd say anything at that moment.
And I did lose it, right? I didn't realise when the kid's involved, it was different. So I threatened to do that. Anyway, they did then remove my baby on that day that I was there to then my ex-partner's cousins, so safety. He was safe. My daughter was safe. They then called me in for a meeting about 2 weeks later with the service manager, which is Julie Evans. The manager at the time was Kerry O'Day, and the social worker was Peter Sixsmith. They acknowledged that they'd made mistakes. They apologised to me in the meetings. They said they were going to go to PLO, which is a public liability order court case, and they said, look, when we go there, you can get your daughter. So there was nothing against me at this time. They weren't saying that I was bad, or, they were saying, oh, you can actually get your daughter. And I thought, okay, I'll let you do this, and I went to court. But there was a problem then. When they started producing the first chronologies and things for the court, it didn't contain any of the assault and injury. It didn't contain the phone call from the police officer and the PPN, even though I phoned 101, and the police tell me on the switchboard that this PPN does exist on the system, and it is there to protect my daughter, but it's never been taken. Now, 3 family court cases, they never actually allowed this document in court. And the guy who's assaulted my baby is still sitting next to my ex-partner in the first court case, and they're saying that he's positive. And I'm thinking, wait a minute.
What a positive person.
Positive for my ex-partner to care for the baby. He's all-round positive for the situation. And my ex-partner being with him makes her situation stronger to be with the baby. And I'm like, how can that possibly be, And I started thinking, and you're playing some games here, these things have definitely happened. Why would you go to court and leave these things out? So the CAFCAS then turn up, and I hear the people from the court, and I think, I'm just going to show these the documents then. And so I show CAFCAS the documents. I have a document where the health visitor phones up Children's Services 2 days after the assault on my daughter, after my daughter's been moved, and they ask Children's Services, why has the baby been moved? And the log says the baby's been moved because there's an allegation that Gibson while assaulting Robinson, has hit the baby's head. So that's the reason why they removed the baby. But on the chronology, which I have here,
Still made a 2-week mistake.
Yeah. Well, they weren't willing to acknowledge it. I don't know why. This is what I think, you see, because they study for 4 years, they get their position, they've been through universities, they got high-paid jobs. Mistakes like this could probably cost them their job. Yeah, so we were in that meeting anyway, and they apologised to me. They said we could get I could get my daughter, I could keep my son, there was no risk or whatever at this point. And then, they produced the first document, so chronologies, as they do. I mean, without the assault on it.
Chronology.
They even tried, even though they're saying to me and everybody that the baby was removed because of the assault by Gibson on the baby, they actually say within the court documents, the baby's removed because there was an incident between my ex-partner and this guy a month before, and that's why the baby's been moved. So it's like, wait a minute, so after that incident, you left the baby there for a month and then removed the baby 2 hours after I come there with the recording. So they're playing games. I know they're playing games at this point. Well, I don't. And they say to me that at this point, there's 3 managers down and there are 8 team members down. And so they didn't have enough staff, and this is why the mistakes were made, as they termed it. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to hang you for a mistake. Let's just move on, in the right way.
Let's make it right now.
Yeah, well, it's a measure of a person, and everybody makes mistakes. And if you could admit I made this mistake, it's had this impact on you, I apologise, I let it go. They were too worried about me suing them, even though I wasn't going to do that, or exposing them then or something. I wasn't going to do. I just wanted my kids to be safe. I didn't want no arguments. It's not in my nature to argue. I've never been in trouble. I had a couple of fights when I was a teenager. I'm not confrontational or whatever. I just wanted the truth established and, the way it should be. And I pay them for it. You're paying these people to actually lie in the end, which is what they did. Anyway, so after that meeting, I leave that meeting thinking then we're going to go to court and everything's fine. As I say, they leave everything off the chronology for the judge. And I'm thinking, I can't establish this. So then the CAFCAS worker turns up, and I show the CAFCAS worker
For the people who don't know, CAFCAS.
CAFCAS is a court-appointed guardian, so the court will appoint a so-called independent solicitor and overseer. So there's two members of CAFCAS, which are supposed to be part of the court system, independent from Children's Services. So when they turned up, I thought, they're independent. Brilliant, I can show them this. I showed this lady the document. She'd already seen the aversion. So when I showed her the document saying the baby had actually been removed because of the assault, she said to me, that's a red flag. And I said, thank God, yeah, you see that's a red flag then. And I think, she's understanding a bit of this now. When she's written her first report then, she doesn't mention that she's seen that document, doesn't mention any red flag. When the CAFCAS lady said that obviously the document was a red flag, I expected her then to portray this to the judge, say that then there's a grey area at least with what they are saying compared to the documents Mr. Thomas has showed me. But I've come to realise from CAFCAS, from reading Ministry of Justice reports, that they never go against Children's Services. They don't seem independent, even though they are termed independent. And the word guardian kind of means that you look after a child. I find that they don't really do that. They kind of jump on board with Children's Services and ram home what they are saying. And obviously the Ministry of Justice report says that they're actually hurting families by siding with these social workers, because some people lie about mistakes. Obviously social workers are human. They are worried about being embarrassed, losing their job, maybe going to prison if they're mistaken.
It's serious enough, yeah.
Yeah, so CAFCAS don't seem independent at all. So I had a few issues with them, where they just wouldn't portray anything. So I went through that first court case. I didn't get my daughter. And I did find out why as well. During the first court case, when this was going on, my ex-partner accused me of rape. This is because she was still with this guy. When I had my DNA test, which said the baby was mine, she then panicked and then realised she had to tell the social worker and this guy that she'd been with me and this baby was mine. She wasn't willing to do that. So she had decided to say to them that I raped her. Right. So I started recording her just before this, anyway, because I found out that she was saying one thing to me and one thing to other people. So I recorded her the very next day saying, can you meet me for sex? I'm frustrated. It's been a long time. Me saying no. Yeah, I also recorded her saying she loves me, wants to come home. She's sorry about everything. She's going to tell the truth about this guy and everything, and about everything. I think she did want to tell the truth, but I don't think social services would allow her to, because she was actually writing in her emails that I saw saying, this guy has done this, and, trying to say the truths, actual truths. But she was disbelieved because it wasn't palatable to them. So I left that court case. I didn't have my daughter. My son was then placed on a care order. And I was like, how can my son be placed on a care order? And they kept saying these words to me, like, you were considered high risk. And I thought, well, I've never been charged with any crime, never been convicted of any crime. My ex-partner come to the door, a few times. I would let her in. She would phone up and say, Kevin's hit me or slapped me. There was no evidence. I had my camera on the door, right? But they still arrest me, take me down here, right? So it happened 10 times, right? Never charged. So I started recording her. And, she was asking me for sex, I say. So I've gone straight to Children's Services and the police, saying, look, she's accusing me of this rape. And, I've actually got recordings of her, asking me for sex and all that, And then one of the police officers did actually say to me, look, she's accused you of rape, do you think she's phoned you the next day because she wants your DNA, to try and set it up? So I thought they were investigating it because they were asking the relevant.
It's a good idea.
She wants your DNA or something. Why is she asking you to meet the day after she's accusing you of rape for sex?
Yeah, that would be, a day before or day after. It makes sense.
And alongside this as well, my ex-partner also told me that some people were poisoning me. And I didn't really believe that.
Poisoning you?
Yes. And I was like, I'd been ill. I'd had problems with my kidney, stomach. I'd been going back for the doctors for a bit. And when she said, these people are poisoning me, like, what do you mean these people are poisoning me? She goes, yeah, these people, she mentioned her father. She mentioned a couple of convicted paedophiles. Right? I don't know if she's having some episode or whatever. But she said that these people were Jehovah's Witnesses and they were part of a paedophile ring. And because they'd abused her when she was a child, because she'd had our son, they considered that he was in some part owned by them because they'd abused her. This is what she was telling me. And when I started saying then, I'm not afraid of these people. Tell them to come, I'm not afraid. And then she said, they're poisoning you. And I was ill. And I went to the doctor. The doctor then diagnosed me, sent me to a specialist, a blood specialist, diagnosed me with lymph node problems, which is the things that remove toxins from your body. Low red blood cell count, high white blood cell count, low heart rate. I was in a bad way. I lost so much weight. I went from 12 stone.
Did you have any of these problems before this? No?
Nothing at all. And she even said something else interesting just as this happened, and I still didn't really, this was just before the rape allegation was made, you see, so I didn't really know what she was capable of. She said to me that your dog's going to die, just to send her a message, and the next day my dog died. My healthy Jack Russell dog, who was 12 years old, died. And I still even thought then, and that must be some kind of coincidence. Yeah. So I didn't really...
Well, he's 12?
Yeah, he's 12-year-old Jack Russell bouncing around, he was healthy. All of a sudden, I got up one morning, opened the back door. He kind of
was he ill at all? Was he due?
Not at all. He
No?
bouncing up. He could bounce up as up to me on that when he was 12 years old. And all of a sudden, the next day after she told me that these people were doing this, so I told them. I phoned the police. The police then phoned me the next day and said, "Are you still ill?" Yeah, I said, "Yeah, I'm still ill. What's the doctor saying?" And I said, "Well, the doctor's saying that I've got these problems, and he's investigated them." So I thought they were going to investigate that, which they didn't, and I got iller and iller. Yeah, I've put myself in a clinic I've developed all food intolerances, and I'm so tired. I've lost loads of weight. I say my bloods are all over the place. My lymph nodes, my heart rate was low. I kind of go up and down. I'm not feeling great today. But tomorrow I might feel a bit better. But it's kind of, I'm gradually.
You're still battling it, like, yeah.
I'm slipping. I'm actually going down. Right. This is why I'm doing this now, because I think if I leave it another year, I might not be well enough to actually come here and maybe do this.
So have you lost loads of weight? Is that what you...
Yeah. I went from 12.5 stone nearly down to 8 stone. And I went back up then to 10.5 stone. And recently again, I've lost another stone. So I'm about 9.
What's her name? The partner?
Stacey Robinson, is it?
Stacey, if you're watching this, please send me some of those poison tablets. I need to lose a bit of weight.
The pain that goes with him, I don't think you'd be on board with it. Yeah. But anyway, see, I can't prove that, it's like you say, but all this was going on.
It's very coincidental, isn't it? And even if she was on the other side of the world and she phoned to say your dog's going to die and they're poisoning you, that's still fucked up and not right.
Yeah, I thought maybe she's just trying to mentally hurt me, but the longer things have gone on and the more things that she got me locked up and, to accuse me of the rape, I'm thinking, yes, maybe she did try to hurt me to get me out of the way, because she was, even though when our boy was born, she wasn't interested in him, but when her friends were around, she'd, come and say, "Oh, can I take the boy?" And she told me she took my boy to this house with this girl. She said that they were doing heroin in the house. And I was like, "You're not taking him anymore." I'm sorry, I can't let you take him, right? Because she was telling me other things about this person as well.
For her to brazenly say that, she's obviously a damaged person, isn't she?
Yeah, and see, I tried to help her. I'm not even trying to attack her. I'm just saying the facts.
I can see that. So the rape then, quickly, before you move on, any backlash in your community for that, or no? What did the police know?
She was telling people, when I was talking to her in the street one day, we argued, she walked off and she walked past these 2 boys and said, "Oh, he's abusing me, he's raped me," and they were like looking at me for a minute, they didn't, nothing happened. But even the paranoia of having people thinking that you possibly raped somebody, and my job, gardener and carpenter, based on reputation, I found out people weren't phoning me as much, or certain people would ask me questions about things when I would work for them, and things changed. I changed as well. My baby was in our house and I developed some kind of problem there. They did bring a forensic psychologist to me as part of the family court case. The forensic psychologist actually said that Mr. Thomas is an eloquent person. He's well-spoken. He reports things. He reports things when they happen. He's an honest reporter. She said, Mr. Thomas needs resolution to the incidents around his daughter regarding the assault and other incidents. This could take... he also needs resolution to the risk that Mr. Gibson poses to his children in the future, moving on. So she tells them that they sit down with me, have a conversation with me, and, get to the bottom and have a plan moving forward. So I know in my mind, because I've apparently developed something called a protector schema, where I will protect somebody I care about, even at the expense of my own life. Yeah? And she even says, things... Mr. Thomas will keep going at the problem, or keep going at the people he thinks are dangerous until the problem is eliminated. So she's telling them that, maybe I go at them, I'm not going to do that. right? But I've developed apparently this protective schema where if somebody that I love or care about is in danger, I would step in front of a bullet and I wouldn't think 2 seconds about it.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose, but I've said that to other people, and people are saying, you're just a parent. Any parent would do.
Yeah.
So I don't really know, right?
I heard that before, like.
Yeah, but so this psychologist, they paid £5,500 for this lady up in Sunderland to evaluate me. Done a really good job. When they didn't like what I'd written in the, because I actually talked to the manager of Children's Services, she said, wait until the psychologist's report is back and then we'll have a conversation.
Yeah.
She was open. This forensic psychologist was going to call me mad, saying I'm a liar, saying I'm delusional, making all this up. But it didn't. She actually said, look, these people need to answer. She's looked at the documents and she says she could see stuff and they need to answer to me about what's happened. They completely almost buried our report. They would have used...
Yeah. For what reason?
Because it was mentioning about the assault. They were saying that they need to answer for the mistakes they've made. It was they were trying to say that I was mentally unwell and I was maybe making some of this stuff up. But she was saying the opposite and saying, no, he's actually honest. He's actually quite eloquently spoken. And, back then, I've probably gone down a little bit more now, but back then I was calmer and, kind of got off a cliff with my mental health, really. But she was telling them that they needed to do this. And as soon as they read that, this forensic psychologist, this independent person was saying, yeah, there's something to look at you, the judge was going to read it, they decided that they would play it down because they would have quoted every sentence if it was to hurt me. But because it was this lady was actually trying to bring the assaults and everything to light, they didn't quote from it at all. They completely buried it. Yeah.
Wow.
Even though she was, the forensic psychologist told me to go and talk to these people, so then I did. I started picking up phones and going places and going to offices and saying, look, you need to talk to me. I went to the police station in Bridgend, which is the headquarters.
Yeah.
I went to the front desk. I said, look, I got a psychologist report. I need to speak to a higher police officer to try and sort this out, The guy on the front gate pressed a button. 8 police officers turned up and 2 riot mans and told me to leave or I'd be arrested. And I was calm. Yeah?
Be like reaction to
No, because I was saying that they're lying. I was calling them child abusers. I'm saying they're lying about an assault on my baby. I'm saying they're corrupt. I'm saying they're a disgrace to their profession. This is what happened. I should get into this, actually. When we were halfway through the first court case, I put something on Facebook. I put on this guy's assaulted my baby. I mentioned their names. They tried to take me to court. The judge said, I'm not going to prosecute Mr. Thomas because it's not in the public interest to prosecute him. That made them angry then. Then it turns up...
Civil, isn't it? Surely anyway, no?
Well, they tried to do me for, breaking child confidentiality.
Though, they, government services, they don't like you speaking the truth or blowing the whistle on something or taking it.
Do you know what?
Your own end.
Alan, do you know what I say, though? If you've got something to hide, they're the only people that are afraid of the truth, The truth can only, set people free, The truth is the truth. The only people who try to shut down the truth are those who are lying, which is what they're doing, 110%.
What happened next?
Where was I?
So the police have come to Bridgend and...
Yeah, they told me to leave. I then was battling, I then went through paid these solicitors all this money, and it went nowhere.
Apparently, didn't you say that your partner was having some sort of a relationship with an officer as well?
Yes, right. This is where the high-risk status. I then, halfway through the first court case, social workers and other people were referring to me as high-risk. And I was like, well, I've never committed a crime in my life. How can I be high-risk? And I even pointed out, I shouldn't have, but I knew a guy who was involved. And I said, look, this guy's been in prison for violence and he's with his children right now and he's not considered high-risk. How can I possibly be high-risk? It wasn't until I employed that solicitor up in Manchester where he went through the documents with a fine-tooth comb. And there's something in the document that I have here, which says, Mr. Thomas, right, he was talking about my relationship with me and my ex. And he was saying, Mr. Thomas's ex needs to be protected from Mr. Thomas because Mr. Thomas has been violent in past relationships. I was with my ex for 15 years. She was my first relationship. I didn't really have a relationship before her, so I knew that was false.
What, no girls you were seeing? Or,
no. I never been violent to anybody, so I knew, and if somebody had accused me of violence, I'd been through a family court case. I had all my PPNs where, what I was accused of. So it would have been...
Funny, isn't it? So she's been with all these... She's been abused. She's now been going out with all these abusers.
Yeah.
But she's also trying to make you be an abuser.
Yeah.
Well, she was to being abused.
Yeah, that is what it is, isn't it? Because she could get custody of the children, she could get what she wanted, She'd always played like the victim and,
Do you not speak to her now?
No, not at all. Talked to her for a couple of years now.
If she got any of the kids in custody?
She's got one child, I think, with the guy who ended up punching my daughter, and he's never been considered a risk to any child at any point. And I've got messages she sent me in 2020 where she's got bruises on her, and I think at that point she's actually pregnant with his child.
Oh, she's still trying to send you stuff, then.
Yeah, well, she told me she loved me, she wanted to come home. I was saying no, and I was saying, look, I'm going to look after the children. I don't trust you to, take children around heroin addicts, for example, and paedophiles and this, this abuser. Yeah, because there's nothing more dangerous to a child than a paedophile, a blow to the head. What can be more dangerous to a child than that? And then she started coming at me then because I was saying, you're not having the child. I started telling the truth to social about what she was doing. So it became like a battle. She kept turning up at my house. I had a camera installed in the end. But I wouldn't let her in. And she would just phone the police from outside the door and say, oh, yeah, Kevin's like slapped me, spat at me, tried to run me over in a van one day as well. That's what she said. She turned up as I was pulling away in the van. She stood in front of the van for about 10 minutes, didn't go anywhere. When she finally did give up and got bored, and I drove off, and then next thing I know, Kevin tried to run me over in a van. Luckily, the neighbours were in the street, they all seen it. Well, every single neighbour in the street was out on the door saying, she's always there, turning up on his door, shouting and screaming. If you don't let her in, this is what happens. So...
Is this what takes you up to where you are now, then, or...?
No, there's more. Yeah.
You can get it in.
If we can get it in, yeah. I say, this police officer, like the high-risk status I was talking about, my ex-partner, her father, as I mentioned, was a convicted paedophile. A convicted paedophile, when they're let back onto the community, is assigned a PPU officer, so a police officer to oversee. This PPU officer assigned to her father, his name was Alan Williams. My ex-partner struck up a friendship with him in the beginning. He was giving her lifts home and, she told me that he gave her chocolate and he was offering to give her a phone. In the end, she said to me, look, can you tell him to leave me alone because he's phoning up in the night? And she asked me, so I phoned him up and I said, look, leave her alone. And I even did say to him, look, if you want to come and discuss it with me around the corner, we can go and discuss it around the corner. I did have a bit more meat on me back end, but I probably shouldn't have said that to him anyway because that's obviously angered him a bit more. But then mine and my ex-partner's relationship was then falling apart then about a year or so later. She's got back in touch with Alan Williams. And when we were arguing one day, she said to me, Alan Williams has got you on Marek. Yeah? He's got you, and then obviously he's added that to my file where it says on my file I've assaulted 2 women. The dates exactly match. Yeah? Yeah, so that's happened at the same time. I've tried to sort this out as well. The MP said to me, the police can go on the system and Sue's put that information on there within 20 minutes. His name will be logged there and his badge number will be logged there. So the fact that they're not going to sort this out for over 2 years means that I think somebody's protecting this officer because I'm not high risk. I've never assaulted no women in the past. So they are still considered me high risk where they could just take it off because it's false, but they're not because I know that cop has put it there.
Definitely.
I think, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say definitely.
I'm 100% because the way he was talking to me on the phone, she came to me and said, I didn't know what it was at the time. Alan, she said, has got you on Marek. I didn't know what Marek was. It's a domestic abusers database. So he's needed to invent crimes to put me on something called Marek, I think.
So are any of these paedophiles who she was in relationships with, and none of them on any, because are any of them on a register?
They must be at the time, but the guy who was...
If they're on a register, why are they still allowed... Oh, sorry. If they're on a register, how are they being allowed to have the children? That's what I'm conflicting with.
Yeah, but right, this guy, right, I think we've got confused there. She was in one relationship before with my son, and I had to have a DNA test. She was with a convicted paedophile then. This guy then passed away. The child turned out to be mine, so this paedophile was up the way. She then met another guy called Lee Gibson, yeah, who was not a convicted paedophile, but she's telling me he is a paedophile. He is an alcoholic. Yeah, he is an alcoholic. He has assaulted her in his own words. I got him there from his own confession. I'll get to that in a second now. But we went through the court case then where they covered all this up and they pushed me into a corner. They said to me, look, if you fight them, they could take your son off you as well. So I signed their document, but I wrote by the side of it under duress. And under duress means that apparently it's void when you write under duress. So the contract that I signed with the court, because it's under duress written next to it because it was pushed into it, and apparently is void. I've been told that by the MP Anselist.
True.
Yeah, so they won't acknowledge that, so they just carried on,
Yeah.
Anyway, this is what happened then. my ex-partner's phoned me up and he said, you do know that Lee Gibson has confessed to going to hit me and hitting the baby. And I thought, no, I haven't. Social would have told me, police would have told me, something would have happened. I didn't believe her. So she comes to my house then with her mother to pick up a boy for contact, and she gives me his document where it clearly says on it, Mr. Gibson admitted to social workers that he's gone to strike Miss Robinson and caught the baby's head. The bruises on her head, right? I phoned them up and I said to them, you've had this confession document. It's dated like 9 months ago. You haven't told the father with parental responsibility that this guy's actually admitted to this. They deny that he was even a legitimate document at first, right? Then I phoned the police and said, look, I got this document. And the police said to me, I said to the police, they got all this stuff. And the police said, we can't go around their computers and go through their computers. And I said, why not? They lied about an assault on my baby. That's exactly what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they wouldn't do it, right? And the police wouldn't allow me to report it, even though I had the document where the guy confessed, right? So I was dealing with a social worker at the time. Carwyn Morgan was his name. The relationship has gone bad. He was going on about the high risk, and I was showing him that I were in high risk and all this other stuff. The relationship had gone bad anyway by this point. So I sent him messages, and I sat there for weeks. I was gone off 3 weeks. I said, look, you've got a confession of the assault on my daughter. I'm going to send you enough messages to harass you, and you're going to get the police, and I'm going to take this document that I have to the CPS interview, and I'm going to go above the police head and the Children's Services head, and I'm going to show this document to CPS. Yeah?
That's one way of doing it.
I was desperate, and
Yeah.
So I did then, obviously, I took the document with me when I got arrested, but it went on for weeks with me sending him messages, and it got to this point, Cullen, where I actually had to say to him, if I have to come over there and slap you across your corrupt lying face for you to get the police to me, then consider it done.
Yeah.
Right, and then he actually did get the police after about 20 messages before that, right? So I was in the police interview. The police, asking me questions, relevant questions. I was just saying, I stuck to the point and I'm saying, look, my baby's been assaulted. This is why I've done this. 3 days after I'd done that, Children's Services then did phone the police. The police did take a report of the assault, but then they no further action there without even coming to get any evidence from me. I got recordings. I assume they had a recording from Children's Services, but I had recordings of her saying, this guy's blackmailing her, this guy's abused her. I got photos. They never come to me to collect any evidence. They just sent me a letter a few days later saying we've no further action there. And I thought, but he's admitted to going to hit the woman and hit the baby. And I thought, at that point, Colin, all right, he's not guilty. All right, he's not a criminal to that, but at least Children's Services will consider him a risk to my children. Yeah, that's what I thought. And they didn't. They actually said he's a positive. Then they started putting my children, both of them, in his house for contact with my ex, right, after all this stuff had happened.
I've never heard this before, a case like this.
They started putting, and even the social worker, while putting my children in the house, said to me, your children shouldn't be going in there because a confession from the police has only been reported. A confession from the police has only been reported a couple of months ago, and already your children. And she goes, I'm going to have a word with the manager. She then come back to me. I tried to talk to her next time, and she was really quiet about it. The manager had obviously told her to shut up about it.
Yeah,
They had the baby go in the house. I started getting quite angry then, and I started putting stuff on Facebook again. They take me to court again for breaking the gag order. The judge lays me off by the skin of my teeth this time and says, look, I'm not going to prosecute you again, public interest thing. I also put on top of the post, this is just for my personal friends, 30 of them. And both private, or I thought it were private. But he let me off. So they tried to put me in prison a couple of times. And even after the judge said it's not a public interest, Rhiannon Davis, the social worker, the manager, shouted out, you've got to put him in prison. And she knows exactly what's up, kids. So, I kind of went off a cliff there. Then I mental health kind of went after that court case. Then I lost my son into care at that point. Then I have to say,
how was that?
They went to court and said they couldn't work with me, and I kept saying to the judge, well, basically I can't work with them because
on what premise?
That didn't really give one. And they just said we can't work with him. They showed messages where I'd said to a social worker, I called her an effing disgrace when my baby was in the house. It gets worse than that. I read a bit further on. It says, Mr. Thomas has spat at a social worker. And I didn't even know I was supposed to spat at, right? So they sent this to a judge, right? This is why I lost my son. So they said I spat at a social worker during the COVID pandemic, let me add. So when I read this then, I phoned them up and I said, can you send me the document? I haven't spat at nobody. They wouldn't send me the document. I still haven't had it to this day. I've then phoned the police and I've said, look, social services are saying that I've spat at somebody. I'm assuming it's a woman because I'm only dealing with a woman at this time. Can I report myself for spitting because it's an assault? And you investigate it, so at least you can say that they're lying, they wouldn't get involved. But so on the court documents, they went to court saying I'd blocked the entrance of my van. It also said that I spat at a social worker. It said that they couldn't work me. They showed text messages to the judge where I'd called, obviously, one of them an effing disgrace. I'd called the other ones corrupt, disgrace to their profession.
I know it's frustrating, but yeah, that definitely, to them, like, didn't help, did it? It's pretty well, fuck him even more, like, so.
Yeah. Yeah, there was just all risk of emotional harm. You know, even though they couldn't prove that my son had witnessed anything, which he didn't, I swear. His last school report said he was happy, healthy, thriving. It even said that he brought a calm, caring, loving kind of feeling to the class. You know, he was actually calm, caring, and loving. He was always immaculate, well dressed. Right, I only got credit. And I weren't well at this time. I was still looking after him. I'd crawl if I was unwell to do things for my boy. You know, everything was for him.
Yeah.
I'd die for him. I still will now. You know, and you know, they went there saying that he's at the risk of emotional harm and they couldn't work with me.
That's so.
You know, and even the judge was sympathetic and said, "Look, you've got evidence there. You're doing the right thing by taking it to the other court." So I thought, okay, I'm going to get these people in the other court. I'm going to establish these facts. I went there with like 50 letters from people in the community supporting me as well. You know, there's like
Let's have a look at one of them. Read one of them out. Just get one of them out just so we can have a look at it. Just pick one, is it? Okay. So this is because you went to court and obviously you've been accused of rape and other things. You had your child taken out.
So I thought I'd get people that actually known me because they didn't even know me to say, you know,
okay, here we go.
not all that bad.
To whom it may concern, we, Vivek and Anne-Marie Rana, have known Kevin for some years now. As our children are in the same school, we would both be more than happy to support Kevin and his children as much as we can. I, Kirsty Samuel, have been living by Kevin and Yeston for 8 years and have spent a lot of time with them both. Kevin is kind, caring, lovely man and will always have my support. My door is open and always will be for him and his children. So I'll look at another one. I have known my next door neighbour, Kevin Thomas, for 8 years. Kevin is a friendly and respectable neighbour. When I was renovating my property, Kevin helped clear the waste from the building. Material waste. Kevin is reliable and hardworking. I have a son similar age to Kevin's son Yestin. They have often played outside the garden together. Let's have a look what else.
I got to say thank you to all them people that supported me then.
Yeah.
I've overwhelmed.
I am a friend of Kevin Thomas. I've been for some years. I will always support Kevin, willing to help. I, Janet Holmes, has known Kevin Thomas for many years over this time and has been very helpful and honest. I will support. So this was to show that they would support you, yeah?
I mean, they were slandering my name, saying that I'm a monster, you know, saying I'm a rapist, I've assaulted 2 women in the past. This is, you know, I've never done any of them things. I never committed a crime, actually, other than harassing a social worker.
Yeah, there's lots here, lots. And
important.
that's fair. That's, yeah, exactly. That says a lot, that does, really. So what was like, where did this get ended then? Where did this end for you? Where was the brick wall?
Well, I always had hope. See, when I went to the court case in Cardiff, I thought, you know, this is going to be established here. There's no way they can go. You know, I've got the documents. When they said it was struck out, I didn't. That's the end. There's nowhere else I can go. You know, through the system, I made all the complaints. I've tried to take it to court.
How'd you feel?
Beaten up, destroyed.
How long has your boy been out of your care now? And where is he?
He's with a family in Port.
Did you see him?
I've seen him 10 hours last year. It's funny because I love him so much. I wouldn't let somebody lie about him. I don't think they realised, you know, I got this protective schema. I didn't really understand. I just thought I was a man of principles, of standing and, you know, defend my children with my life. I ain't going to take a step back, so they need to. And I don't know where it ends. Because they're lying and I'm not. And I ain't afraid to die. Because I thought I was dead before with the poisoning. With, you know, this is when I took my son from my care, when they were lying as well. For some reason, my mental health obviously went off a cliff. I said to them, I'm going to go on hunger strike, which I did as well. I didn't eat for 7 days. I saw I was in massive pain, and I kept saying to them, you know, you need to admit, otherwise I'm just going to, you know, my father did talk me out of it on the 7th day and said, look, if you're going to sort this out, you need to be well. You need to be strong. You can't just, kill yourself in a bloody house and, them get away with it, walk off into the sunset, which is what they're not going to be doing. They're not walking off into the sunset after this. None of these. After 2 days of me being on, I'm going to strike, the police checked me on the second day and then didn't check me again. So they knew I was mentally unwell. So they left me in a house to die, in my opinion.
Did you lose much weight from that?
Yeah, I was already about 9 stone. Before I started, I went down to 8 stone. In a week, I lost a stone. I was only drinking water. Yeah, I was in pain and not recommend that to anybody, You hear things about Gandhi and, these prisoners, political prisoners, doing things, and lasting 40 days and stuff when, hurt like hell. I thought, I was out of ideas, when you're out of ideas, you get desperate, and it's like, I'm going to make you admit truth, If it was something small, I'd just walk away, It'd be water off a duck's back. When it involves my children, future danger, these people are in my community. They're probably doing this to other people in my community. They probably do it to other families. They knew exactly what to do in my situation to make sure that assault disappeared. The PPN wasn't in court. I think the police and children's services are 100% in this together, and they'll decide what goes to court. They'll decide what documents I'm allowed to have. And when they do send me a document, it's all blacked out. And even the MP said, when you get a document to defend yourself, the only thing supposed to be blacked out are the names, not the situation. So when I've applied for the PPN...
And the situations are blacked out.
Yeah, all of it. I've got it on my phone and I'll show you. Yeah. All blacked out. You can't even make head to tail. So when I've gone there and harassed our social worker and I've said I've only done this to make them admit they got an assault on my baby, I can't show anybody that evidence because it's all blacked out. But I have gone there and that's all I've said is...
Where's your daughter to?
My daughter's with my ex-partner's cousins. They're nice people, actually.
Oh, nice.
Safe.
Nice. Do you think your son misses you massively?
He suffered. He said to me, I want more time with you. They did, when they first took him, Children's Services said to him that your dad is sick. And he thought, they were talking about my mental health. He thought that I was dying. He came to me and said, are you not well? Are you going to die? I said, no. They said to him that I was naughty, and that's why he's not with me.
Who's are the people he's with now? He was naughty. Well, what is the reason they're giving, though? What are they giving? There must be something they're saying.
The reason they're just saying, your dad's sick or unwell. I don't know what they're trying to say, mentally unwell, but they said the word sick because he repeated to me as sick. And they also said as well, your dad's naughty.
Have they given anything in writing with the court or anything, or of a reason?
Yeah, they say they can't work with me because, I keep going. They're saying I'm obsessed with these assaults because I want to let them get away with the assault. So when they're saying to me about something, I say, sorry, can we go back to this assault? Because they're saying to me, this guy isn't a risk. And I'm saying, but he is a risk because he's done this. And they're saying that's a mental problem on my part because I wouldn't let them get away with what they got away with. And because I keep mentioning it at relevant points when it comes up, when they're about to put my children around this perpetrator, for example, then...
And you're not going to pander to it at all, are you? You're not going to just... try and work with them.
It's not in my nature to. It's not in my nature to go along with people, known liars who are causing damage. A lie is damage to a child. If you lie about a situation where a child's in danger and you don't acknowledge the full facts, you're putting that child in danger in the future, possibly.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it. I'm not going to back off. If they, I don't know what's going to happen from this point. They're going to try and put me in prison for this interview as well.
Do you think?
100%. I'm prepared for it, though. I don't care. It's come to a point now where I can't eat, I can't sleep. I'm not proud of myself. A father's got to do what a father's got to do. A man's got to do what a man's got to do. I don't think that I could even live with myself if I just said, I'm going to leave that. My children can go around this guy. They can be abused by this paedophile, get punched in the head. All this stuff. These social workers can do this to other families. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I let that happen.
Do you agree that, well, you might have seen the other stuff. Whenever we've done these things, everyone have always jumped on the thing and backed up like, there's no smoke without fire. Social services, they're on point. Kids get taken for a reason. And what would you say to those people?
Obviously, Children's Services is a vital organisation. There are children out there being hurt, being abused. I'm sure in 99% possibly of the cases, they do the right thing. But when they make a mistake, they will lie about your family, put your children at risk. I know a friend of mine killed himself who was involved with Children's Services. I don't know the full story about how he killed himself, but he hung himself. He was complaining about Children's Services a lot to me just before that happened.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you know anyone else who have gone through it? Any devastating story?
Friend knows getting accused by a woman of certain things. It seems a very easy. I'm not saying all women, right? And this, you know, I got to say this as well. Somebody accusing somebody falsely of rape takes away from the real victims of rape, you know. And these people who are accusing, every single thing should be investigated by the police to get to the bottom of. You can't leave things like that up in the air, you know. But on the social services side of things, they made so many mistakes they couldn't go back over it. They start to sweep it under and then move on as if nothing happened and call me nuts, which is what's happened. And I pay, you know, the forensic psychologist has backed me up. You know, I got that report if anyone wants to see it. I've got a website as well, which is kevinthomas4mp.co.uk. My phone number's on there and contact details. If anybody wants to, you know, contact me, you know, if they think I'm lying about any of this or want to help me with any of this, because it's not like me even to ask for any help. You know, I run my own business. I usually do things myself, but I'm out of my depth, you know. I'm totally out of my depth. You know, the legal, it's not based on common sense and common law. It's based on red tape, which they've created to allow them to get away with these things over a long period of time, I think. They know exactly how the system works. They know exactly how to shut me up. They know what button to press. They've done this to many people. Julie Evans, Rhiannon Davis, the managers there, they are experts at this. I haven't seen their expertise come into play in any kind of child protection role, but they are experts at deflection and the dark arts. And at the end of the day...
Do you really think that? You don't think they're good people just making genuine mistakes?
Maybe. In the beginning, yeah, maybe we're all human. They made a mistake and then they had a decision to make then whether they were going to acknowledge it and possibly cost them jobs, or they could then, you know, lie about it. And because it's just me, you know, I'm on my own. They consider me vulnerable. Who am I, you know? If I'm speaking up against it, who the hell am I? They can shut me down. You know, they don't, you know, I don't, like I said to you before, I don't even, like, I'm a photograph being taken of me, right? So for me to come on you and the cameras and do this, I didn't really expect me to do this, and I'm sure they didn't. But I'm glad I'm doing it. And if they want some more, then I'm prepared to do this every day. And as I said to them, with my last breath, I'll sort this problem out if it takes up until my last breath. Because some things are bigger than me, you know, my children. I die from.
I think one day we're going to start, when we get into our place, we're going to do round tables and we're going to different topics. I think this would be a good topic to talk about if you want to come on with other people who have gone through similar situations. We might get some who have worked in social services.
Yeah.
And you guys around the table. I think that'd be really good.
I say this to Carol as well. There are some members of social services on the lower levels that have looked at my stuff and come to me in private and said, yeah, that's wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. I'm going to have a word with my manager. Problems at the higher levels with the higher management and the solicitors, because they've got to come up with stories for the court and make them not look like bad guys. There are some very good social workers and there are some very good police officers who have actually encouraged me and supported me through all this.
What's the benefit that they get from all of this, would you say?
Protecting their reputation, protecting their colleague and friend.
So you just think there's no nefarious action to start with, it's just mistakes that have turned into nefarious action, yeah? Because we've spoken to some who think this is a money-making scandal, but...
Maybe it is. Maybe some other dark hand in there somewhere, but initially they made tragic mistakes and they can't even then consider this guy a risk. Because when they go to a court case about this guy being a risk, they've got to say what he's done in his court case for his kid. So they're not going to write it anyway. That's what I think it is. I've been doing this a long time and I'm still learning myself. But all I know is they are liars. They will lie to destroy your family if they've made a mistake. You know, a head injury to a child, you know. For example, even in the school, if somebody bangs their head, these days you've got to get that checked. You know, it could be a bleed on a brain, you know. As soon as they've not phoned, as soon as I got with a recorder with an head injury, they've not phoned medical and they've not phoned police, and then they've placed the baby for some reason in his house. Then they're clambering to like make a story which is palatable to the judge. That's what I think. And they've completely steamrolled me. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. So, yeah, what do they want to do next? Because I don't back down, you know. No, when it comes to my kids.
Kev, honestly, thank you so much for coming. I respect you know, coming on and opening up about that. I hope this helps. There is one more thing that we do with all our guests. This is your chance now. Last say, get it across to anyone who you want this message to get across. Down the camera. Got a minute, 2 minutes. Could even be 10 seconds, but just get your point across down there.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for everybody that's supported me and propped me up as well over these last few years. Friends and family and everybody, thank you so much. I didn't really realise. I would like to say to police officers involved as well, PC Kincaid, Alan Williams, that you think you can get away with doing this to people. I'm sorry, but you're not getting away with this. I'm just asking you what I have to do to sort you out. I'm not a violent man, but I'm willing to go anywhere, do anything, get in anybody's face to sort this out. Also, the same will be said for Julie Evans, Children's Services Area Manager, and Rhiannon Davis, who've also played massive parts in changing facts, leaving things off chronologies, which only ultimately hurts the children of the community. And this is why I want to run for MP as well. I'm not saying I'm going to win any election, but I want to expose you, I want to embarrass you, and I want to protect children in my community. And that is what I do.
Kevin, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. If you want to say anything on this, give us a message, leave a comment. Stay central.
The Central Club.